Hey everyone, and welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving into a truly remarkable short story. It's called Bholi by K.A. Abbas. We're about to witness just an incredible character journey. It's a powerful narrative about neglect, the absolutely transformative power of education, and finding your own voice against, well, literally insurmountable odds.
But to really wrap our heads around the magnitude of this story, we actually need to start right near the end. Just listen to this. Pitaji, take back your money. I am not going to marry this man. Wow, right? I mean, this isn't just a simple rejection. This is an absolute explosion of defiance. It's the climax of the story, this incredible moment where a young woman just utterly shatters the lifelong expectations of literally everyone around her.
So, that leads us to the big question framing our explainer today. How in the world did a neglected, stammering girl, someone who was cruelly called a dumb cow her entire life, suddenly find the unshakable confidence, the voice, to stand up and stop her own wedding? Well, to understand how she got there, we've got to flash back to the very beginning of her sad reality.
Let's start with her name. The title character's name itself is actually a huge giveaway. The word Bholi literally translates to simpleton. You know, a foolish person who's just easily tricked by others. And that is exactly how her family saw her. Now, her real name was Suleika, but from her early childhood, she was so thoroughly neglected, so completely misunderstood, that her actual name was pretty much forgotten by her own parents and siblings. She was just reduced to this cruel label, Bholi, the simpleton.
To give you some context, let's look at the stark contrast in how she was treated at home. Her father, Ramlal, he was a prosperous farmer. There was plenty to go around. Bholi's siblings were healthy, they were favored, the sons went off to city schools and colleges, the daughters were easily married off, but Bholi's path, it was tragic. Brain damage from a fall when she was just 10 months old left her a backward child, and then a severe bout of smallpox at age 2 permanently disfigured her with pockmarks. Because of this, she stammered heavily, she was always wearing these unwashed, unmended hand-me-downs, and her own father viewed her as completely lacking in both looks and intelligence.
The turning point in her life comes completely out of the blue, and honestly, it didn't feel like a victory at all at the time. A primary school for girls opens up in their village. The local revenue official, the Tehsildar, basically orders Ramlal to set an example and send his daughters to school. Well, when Ramlal consults his wife, she is horrified. No way! She cries out that no one will ever marry a girl who goes to school. But Ramlal doesn't have the guts to disobey a government official, so his wife comes up with this terribly cruel compromise. Basically, send Bholi. Her reasoning? There's little chance of Bholi ever getting married anyway with her ugly face and lack of sense, so, they might as well just let the teachers worry about her.
So, on her very first day, Ramlal physically drags a terrified Bholi to school. You have to remember, she has absolutely no idea what a school even is. Her only frame of reference here is that just a few days prior, their old cow, Lakshmi, was turned out of the house and sold. So when her father grabs her hand, she just stammers in sheer panic, no. She genuinely believes she is being thrown out of her home forever.
And when she finally gets to the school, the reality inside doesn't magically fix her fragile self-esteem. She's left totally alone in a corner of the classroom, just overwhelmed and sobbing. She looks up at the colorful pictures on the wall, completely fascinated by them, but when the teacher asks her name, she just stammers helplessly. She keeps her head down, way too ashamed to even look up, because she knows the other girls in the room are laughing at her. The isolation she feels in this moment is just absolutely heartbreaking.
But then comes the catalyst for true change. The school bell rings, the other girls scurry out, and Bholi is still sitting there crying in her corner. And then she hears this. Bholi. The teacher's voice is soft, it's soothing, it's completely void of those harsh, shouting tones her parents always used with her. In all her life, she had never been spoken to with such incredible gentleness. It touches her heart instantly.
Now this is absolutely crucial, the way the teacher handles Bholi. It is a masterclass in empowering a neglected child. Instead of barking a command, she gently suggests Bholi get up, which immediately builds trust. She patiently encourages her to say her full name, offering genuine praise instead of mockery when she stammers. She fosters hope by handing her a picture book and promising bigger books soon. And most importantly, she builds respect. The teacher promises Bholi that one day the entire village will listen to her with respect. By the time Bholi walks home that day, she feels as if all the temple bells are ringing. Her heart is just throbbing with this brand new hope, a whole new life.
So, the years pass by quite rapidly. The little village slowly transforms into a bustling small town. That tiny primary school, it upgrades to a high school. Industrialization arrives. There's now a cinema under a tin shed, a cotton ginning mill, and the mail train finally begins to stop at their station. And just as the village matures and grows, so does Bholi. She quietly attends school year after year, just absorbing everything her teacher has to offer.
However, while Bholi has grown, her parents' view of her, that hasn't evolved one bit. Now, we see this incredibly unequal match being arranged for her. Ramlal and his wife get a marriage proposal for Bholi from a man named Bishambir. Sure, he's a well-to-do grocer, but look at the details here. He is almost the exact same age as Bholi's father. He limps. He already has grown children from his first wife. Yet, Bholi's parents consider her entirely lucky to get any offer at all, just because of her pockmarks and what they still firmly believe is a lack of intelligence. Since Bishambir is from another village and doesn't know about her flaws, he initially doesn't even ask for a dowry. Her parents eagerly accept the match completely behind her back. They clearly view her as a burden to be offloaded rather than a daughter to be cherished.
Which brings us to the wedding day. It's designed to be this huge, grand affair to show off Ramlala's prosperity. We're talking a brass band, a decorated horse, the whole shebang. But the tension skyrockets right at the altar. Just as the groom, Bishambir, is about to place the garland of yellow marigolds around his bride's neck, a woman nearby slips back Bholi's silken veil. Bishambir catches a glimpse of her pockmarked face. And just like that, the entire grand ceremony comes to a screeching, deeply uncomfortable halt.
This right here is where Bishambir's true, ugly character is fully revealed. He turns to a friend and says, "Maybe, but if I am to marry her, her father must give me 5,000 rupees. I mean, he literally holds the wedding hostage out of sheer greed. He knows the immense social ruin that awaits a girl left unmarried at the altar in their culture, and he weaponizes that to extort her family. Her father, Ramlal, is absolutely devastated. He goes so far as to humiliate himself, he takes off his turban, which is the ultimate symbol of his personal honor, and places it right at Bishambir's feet, begging him to just take 2,000. But Bishambir is heartless. 5,000 or we go back, he demands. Crying, Ramlal actually opens his safe and counts out the full 5,000 to save his family's face.
Okay, what happens next is nothing short of explosive. The money is paid. A triumphant Bishambir raises the garland once more to claim his bride. But before he can even lower it, Bholi's hand strikes out like a streak of lightning. She rips the garland away and flings it straight into the sacred fire. No way. She stands up and forcefully throws away her veil, and she isn't looking down anymore. As the source text brilliantly points out, she looks straight at her prospective husband, and in her eyes there is neither anger nor hate, only cold contempt.
And then, the ultimate shock. She speaks. "You all thought I was a dumb-driven cow. That's why you wanted to hand me over to this heartless creature." She delivers this in a clear, loud voice, without even the slightest trace of a stammer. Her father, her mother, the guests, the neighbors, everyone is utterly paralyzed hearing her speak like this. This is the moment she firmly asserts her own worth. She flat out refuses to marry this mean, greedy, contemptible coward. The simpleton they all pitied and dismissed has become the strongest, most self-assured person in the entire courtyard.
The aftermath of this scene is just incredibly moving. The flames of the sacred fire die down, the confused and greedy groom takes his party back home, and Ramlal is left rooted to the ground. He's completely crushed by the weight of grief and shame, wailing to Bholi, "But what about you? No one will ever marry you now. What should we do with you?" But Bholi's resolution, it's powerful and it's entirely calm. She reassures her devastated father, telling him not to worry. She promises that in their old age, she will stay right there and serve both him and her mother. And as for her own life's path, she declares she's going to teach in the exact same school where she learned so much.
But here's the beautiful part. She isn't alone in this triumphant moment. Her teacher had been standing in the corner all along, just watching the drama unfold. When Bholi asks if she's right about her plan to teach, the teacher replies, "Yes, Bholi, of course." And in the teacher's smiling eyes was the light of a deep satisfaction that an artist feels when contemplating the completion of her masterpiece. That teacher didn't just give this young woman literacy, she gave her the incredible life-saving gift of self-worth.
Which brings us to a final, really thought-provoking question I want to leave you with today. We learned way back at the beginning of this explainer that Bholi's real name was Sulekha. Yet throughout this entire story, everyone, even the narrator of the text itself, calls her Bholi, the simpleton. It is only in the very last paragraph, when she stands up for herself, protects her dignity, and speaks with absolute clarity, that the text finally refers to her as Sulekha again. So why do you think that is? It's a profound commentary on identity, self-respect, and how the true meaning of education is finally finding out who you really are. Think about that for a while. Thank you so much for joining me, and I highly encourage you to go read the full story of Sulekha's incredible journey for yourself.